Hello everyone, Hoey here in the chair for this edition of Hopping the Ball. On the weekend that Clare entertained Limerick, we will be talking a lot about hurling. So we have our regular, Pat Hickey, and this week we're delighted to be joined by a man well known in Clare GA circles, Neill O'Brien from Callaghan's Mills. Neill, very welcome.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, Neill is a current coaching and games officer for Clare County Board, so we'll talk a bit to Neill about that. But maybe, Neill, before we go further, we might just maybe sit back and listen to see how you got involved in sport and GA especially.
Okay, thanks, Ger. As you said, Neill O'Brien from O'Callaghan's Mills. I suppose I grew up in a farming background, and sport was never far from the television or any field of life. Most things we went to as young lads was going to matches, like so. Yeah. I suppose the early life, we were kind of blessed with Clare's run of hurling in the 90s that 2 Munster titles or 3 Munster titles, 2 All-Irelands, 4 or 5 club title Munster clubs in a row. We were on a roll, and we had a lot of trips out for that with Clare teams in club hurling. My father Liam used to be doing match commentaries there with Joe Finnick here in Scariff and Michael O'Sullivan in us, so any match that could be got to, we went to it, and we got a bird's eye view out of the commentary box and Thurles and Gaelic grounds and Cusick Park, so they were great days travelling on the road. They were great days, and Liam was a few years ahead of me at school, Neill, and he did an awful lot of games locally when there was no Twitter, no YouTube, there was hardly VHF videos. They were just about in, but he did a power of commentating. I did actually in the 90s, Killadine, we won the junior championship, and he did a video for that. So yeah, fond memories of Liam. Yeah, when you think back to different times, they were like going around to matches and going around selling videos afterwards. Knocking around to people's houses playing in the match, selling them a tape for £10 or whatever it was. I remember even opening up when we were doing a job at home there in the house there. Sometime later there was a big drawer underneath the television that had all matches in it from down the years, but sure, there was matches from every type of source. Hurling, football, there was even pony racing, there was even so it was, but like the different times you said the technology has moved on so much.
And Liam, how did he get into it? Can you remember? Was he in it when you were actually toddling around at home, or did he get into it?
Well, I can remember my cousin, or Liam's first cousin, Mary McNamara in Bradford, and she used to always say that my grandfather used to ask him when he was a young lad to do his party piece, and was doing match commentaries from, I suppose, they didn't have televisions at that stage either, so they grew up listening to me holler here on the radio, and that's how it's, as far as I know, is how far it started anyway. So, and I think he was encouraged in a national school by Mrs. O'Brien down there, that was the headmaster, to keep at it. So it was just, I suppose,
fascinating, because I never quicked it when he got to Scariff, that he was into it, that stage, absolutely. So hurling, and I suppose all sports really, was it?
All sports. Yeah. 2 sisters there playing camogie, and my brother did a lot of athletics too. He went to school in Flannans, and he would have done a lot of athletics there, I suppose, from the mid 2000s onwards there for about 10 years, like so.
Yeah, sure. Mike, your uncle, was involved in athletics.
Fierce involved too, in cross country and stuff like that. Yeah. Sure. My grandfather used to do a lot of cross country running back in the day as well. He used to like.
So. I remember Mike. He's a few years ahead of me. He's older than Liam, wasn't he? Is he?
He is. Yeah,
older than Liam. But I remember when he had leaving cert done, he came back for a couple of years coaching athletics back in Scariff, in the TIC college. Yeah. Okay, very good. So and as a young fella then, were you handy?
I could say yes, but I'll leave it to others to judge my.
Is there video evidence?
I think they were out match commentary, Joe.
Did your father ever had the pleasure of commentating when you were playing a match yourself?
I would say hardly. I'd say Joe or Pat, because I'd say he was over the team. I'd say so. It was either him or Joe Cooney was over the team. They were usually on the sideline, so the commentaries were left side door. So they were like,
and of course, you got lots of advice if he was involved with your team.
Oh, sure. God
even
knows.
When you came home, what went wrong or what went right.
Advice was good. Sure, there'd be analysis for analysis by paralysis was famously said on RP commentary one time. So the game would be studied well anyway. Anyway, so.
But just goes to show the love of the game that was in the household, like, you know, and all sports was fantastic. Like,
well, I'd say there was no house, I'd say.
Yeah.
That wasn't the same way. It was the same everywhere. Like,
it was,
especially around rural areas. Anyway, it was better,
exactly. Yeah.
So it would be. So.
That's it.
Yeah. So, and where'd you go to school, Liam?
Yeah, I attended Kilkishen National School and I went to Tulla Secondary then.
You had the heck teaching you, so.
Mr. Hare. I better call him by his proper title. But Sean was a master teacher. He was like, he was as well versed in music and dance and geography and history and a fierce love for Gaelga he had. So it was like you learned a lot in circumstances, I suppose, that wouldn't have been on maybe curriculums now, we'll say, like he was great. We'll say it was every morning we go in on a Monday and it would be the Nook Dunley and it would be a big whiteboard and everything be written down on it, and that had be turned the page for the following week. At the end of the year you would look back what happened in September and October and All Ireland finals and what happened in Irish everything. So fierce interest in it, like so. But
that was the rounded part of the education. It wasn't just
exactly, And I suppose it's the part of it. I suppose it's the use part of it. Not, you know, if it was the basic parts of it, like, but it's the part that you can use nowadays, like this, like so. And attended Tulla National School or Tulla Secondary School then for 5 years. Then so started out with Michael McMahon, father of Shawnee, as first year or two, and then William O'Mara, and then Jimmy Cooney from Airog. Then
Jimmy, that's another a lot of strong GM in there.
GM in there as well too. There was so I suppose it took a team along the way it did. So
it did, of course, yeah. And after you left Tulla, then did you go working or?
I attended Pelliskenry for 2 years after that, and then after that, then I started working in the forestry. Then through Mike Noonan with SWS Forestry, and I suppose I spent best part of 10 years at it then before changing career then at that stage. So
you're still on the land?
Still on the land, yeah.
Alright, okay, Neil. Okay. And are you in Clare? Are you elsewhere at the moment?
Yeah, I'm in Clare now, fully now there since last year. So.
Alright, so that'll bring us on to your GAA credentials then. So you played, obviously, like all of us tried to play anyway. When did you become involved in kind of officership? Were you involved in the club?
I took over as secretary when I came back from Pelliskenry probably around 2007 at the club. And I suppose did 4 or 5 years and took a year or two a break and went back again then. So probably over a 10-year period did 7 or 8 years as secretary, like, so learned my trade at that side of it. And
absolutely.
How
did you move into the county then? Delegation?
Well, I suppose so. I started refereeing first. I kind of got a bit involved with Fela came to Clare in probably about 12 years ago, so maybe 13 years ago.
2010, was it 2010?
Somewhere around that time frame, anyway. It was anyway.
Were you refereeing this stage?
That's when I started doing it. Then I did, and there was a couple of positions then on Born and Og then came up along then, and Joe Cooney asked me would I take chairman, so I reluctantly went along with the line, and it's been 5 years in the row. An enjoyable role now, I'll say, and get to meet a lot of people around the county and a lot of young lads, and where you would see young lads that now were on a Clare All Ireland winning team last year, they won mine on that, like you'd see them coming up along, you know, like now
through the development squads and all that.
And it was great to see, like we'll say, look at, I suppose so many young lads tag out for Clare when they start out at under 14 and development squads, but like it's like a funnel effect, like, you know, you spread your base wide and you try to get players coming up to an elite level then, like, so and sure, then 2 years ago then I went stood for position and coaching and games officer then, and was lucky enough to be selected by the clubs of the county to the trust in the position. So
and Neil, I suppose it's too simple a thing to say. What's the job description? What does the job entail? The role, what does the role entail?
Tis wide range and role. I suppose I might have looked at the full job description when I was going for the job, but basically I suppose look at it's the development of underage hurling in the county through the club structures and the county games to the development squads on up to under 17 and Celtic Challenges. So we're starting development squads at 14 with 3 teams at hurling, 14, 15, 16, our Celtic Challenge team at 17 and then 2 teams at football then in 14, 15 and 16. So And then you would be working with them, then the Two-Born and Oaks development, the role, the lads over the development squads then, and the post-primary and the coming to Munskol then, so to make sure there's a programme of games in with coming to Munskol and post-primary hurling and football then as well, like, and obviously we'll say, look, during the summertime it works very smoothly, but there's a bit of thoughtful planning then has to go into at the start of the year from September onwards, when obviously daylight becomes an issue and you're working with what I suppose we'll say maybe 2 to 3 days a week, and that there isn't a crossover then with Dean Ryan that starts up in early September, and you're still in knockout competitions.
Dean Ryan is 15 and a half, is it?
Dean Ryan's at 17.
17.
Yeah. So obviously you can't have your minor championships cutting across that too either, like we'll say, like, so like there's a lot in it, like there's development squads take a lot during the summer, like you've over 400 players in it, like you've 60 plus coaches, logistics, venues.
Yeah, and as regards the coaches for all the teams, Neil, how are lads recruited, or is that your job to try and find them, or is it kind of a...
Well, no, there was a committee that worked there kind of overhead the side of it, then that they'd have no more than any club AGM, like they'd have a review of the year that would happen, we'll say, then, and we'll say where they see areas of concern, we'll say, like where it would be maybe like the logistics, we'll say venues, transport, we'll say first aid, even to mention like that. Even when you're hosting a county, we'll say, with matches there, like in which we'd often do in Carlow, and you could have 10 or 12 teams coming there on a given Saturday, that there would be first aid covering that, because we have travelled on the road and cover hasn't been provided, and lads have got injured, like, which is not good enough at this day and age, like we'll say, when lads are putting so much into it, and parents driving them to and from trainings 2 nights a week, we'll say,
parents or grandparents,
or whatever role, Jerry. So look, they'd be looking at it, and obviously there's a natural progression too, I suppose. We've had a couple of very good coaches now, and obviously they are going along now and getting jobs with clubs and with county set-ups here and there, like, so like, look, it is a kind of an evolving door, like, and we just try and spearhead who we could see was progressive and who would like to get on board and go with that, and blend them in then with, I suppose, lads that are there a number of years to kind of give that kind of oversight of it, like we'll say, and have lads in to just kind of oversee the operations then, because if you've, I suppose, look at any company needs to have an oversight of it to see how it is going, and like if there's issues there on the line, or if there's someone has to be kind of sit back and just be able to see that, be able to approach the person and say, look, we could do this better, we could do that better, and then we're working, like we'll say, there's plans in place that we're playing the game, trying to bring everyone through at a level, like, so look at them plans have to be they have to be brought out, like they have to, like, so.
So when you took up the role first, Neil, what did you kind of have to do? Was there somebody there on the road before that you kind of tap into, or did you just have to look at?
Sean O'Halloran was the predecessor, like, and sure, Sean has the wealth of experience from, I suppose, decades work down the years in Clare GA and Budike and club scene, and because there was no club that Sean wouldn't know people inside out, and like, so Sean was a good mentor, and I started. Michal Duffy then had been appointed the games manager that year as well, so like Michal is a very hands-on, hard-working individual in that role, like he's like, and we were obviously going through a transition period. There's a new model in place now, that the amount of GDCs, which are the new games development officers, they obviously, we were promised we get so many. We were kind of like, I suppose anyone in HR, promises were made. We thought we were there. Next thing went down a step or two, get plans in place again, and you're kicked back again to touch you are. But I suppose now we have a platform, we have a base, we have 10 clubs to every GDC will say. They are working then with a secondary school or 2 secondary schools each. Then they have the primary schools in the region. Then we'll say and like we'll say it's working now. Like once we have it now, it's working good. Like, you know, but it's just getting to that period. The first year was tough because you were always hoping we get over this next hurdle, and next thing you get rebuffed a bit. Like, so.
And in that period of time, where kind of secondary schools or clubs or national schools kind of been onto Mike Duffy or yourself?
Oh, there would have been like, and in fairness, there would have been a number of people that were going around in clubs, good club personnel going around to different clubs doing the job. Like, in fairness to them, like, and still to a certain degree they're still doing it, like they're like, because obviously, like if you've 15 second or primary schools inside in the region, you can't be at all of them every week, so they're done in 6-week blocks, and then there would be young lads then trained up then to go around doing more schools then in the period, like. So.
And is there how do you divide up in terms of the size of clubs? If there's huge numbers, you might have to give them extra.
Yeah, there was a bit of that, I suppose.
Or the demand it, like, because you can't. It's very difficult to go into a club size of, say, a Rogue, or have huge numbers at juvenile level.
Yeah.
And whereas come out to Fecal, Killanena, and you have smaller numbers.
Yeah, well, of course, I suppose down the middle you have the spine, the dual clubs.
Yeah.
So like there would be hurling and football there. So like there would have been a smaller number of clubs. We'll say when you take in 2 clubs there, like Joseph's would have hurling and football, like so. We'll say, as you said, in East Clare, then like you have 10 standalone hurling clubs, like we'll say. So there would have been that in it.
But I think there's great credit due to everyone involved, Neil, at that level. Youngsters are getting a great opportunity and getting the best in tuition. And if it were any way decent and interested, there's progression steps there up along. And you can, like, compared to years ago, it was only the elite lads that were brought in. Yeah. There's so many players now brought in if you have any potential at all, and then you improve with the level of coaching that they're getting. I know sometimes you might have feedback from parents saying, geez, we have to buy this food or that food, and all these things, but they're showing the right way of doing things. And I think Clare now have one of the top, we'll say, academies, I'd say, really. And it's bearing fruit. I mean, everyone said the low ebb was a couple of years ago when the minors were beaten 40 points by Cork. Yeah. But look where we are now in comparison to then. Like, so I think there's great credit due to all involved. In fairness,
I suppose it was an unfortunate time that time. We'll say COVID and things.
COVID, it didn't help.
I suppose there was plans in place at the time. But probably that bunch had missed out on the plans that were there. Like they had, like we'll say, like still that team at under 20 last year pushed Cork in a Munster final, and Cork went on and won All Ireland Hendy afterwards. Like the best match they had was Clare all year. Like. That's right. So like you know, there is a kind of good. And I suppose there is that effect too. I'd say when things are going well, people buy into the idea, people embrace it, and it's driven. The agenda's driven on into it. Like, and I suppose when you get the success days, then like we'll say, likes the minor and the league final, and with a bit of luck a couple of years ago we could have had another Munster final there when we lost and penalties separate. Right. A small little bit can give you the extra bounce and get the goodwill going, like so.
But even Neil, to have the likes of Donald Maloney coming back down into that level of underage structures and development, I mean that speaks volumes for, do you know, what he takes really. That Donald had enough success, he could have sat back at home never stood in the field again, like, you know what I mean, in fairness to him, you know.
Yeah, and I think where it really stands out is to the coaches. Then they get the education and the knowledge from Donald, and he's like doesn't the men working behind the scenes other than Donald, like, you know, and mightn't be noticed or not, like, but like people that are involved know the work that goes in there.
That's why I mentioned him, because that's exactly, because he wouldn't be going around. You meet Donald on the line, he's with Scariff, like, and you never realise how much work he does with the underage. Like even the impetus to set up the secondary school competition during the winter, giving young fellas. I mean,
there's been a huge success. Absolutely. That has been like so. And even I think the idea of incorporating Munchins and Old Skull Reach and Gort, so many Clare players. Like when you look at Harty Cups now, we'll say, and you see Old Skull Reach getting to finals and going on to All Ireland finals, and the huge number of Clare players, like you have more Clare players in them teams than you have Limerick, like, you know, it just, like, it is nearly like, it's a pity it's not at the other side of the Shannon, like, but like
it's as good as
as good, like, and like in fairness they're getting such a high standard of coaching and games in there, like, it definitely it does stand to the county, it does so.
Absolutely,
so it is so.
And as regards the football side of it, Neil, have you to take a kind of a pragmatic approach as regards how much, I'll rephrase it, as the Clare coaching and games officer, you're obviously part of a group within Munster. Is that correct? Same, everyone is the same.
Correct, yeah.
And when you, and I presume you have regular meetings in Munster, is there a kind of an agenda set out for each county then during the year, or work plan or whatever?
Oh, there would be, like there'd be a lot of that done now, we'll say, through the full-time staff now. They'd lay out, like, there'd be budgeting put in place and all that kind of stuff. There would be, like, we actually have a meeting next Monday on the budgeting side of that, is like, but you'd outline your position, where you are and what you're doing, and everything has to be approved, we'll say. So you put your calendar in place and you send it down for approval, and you give, we'll say, maybe monthly this time of year updates to the provincial and seeing you bring up issues that arise, like we'll say, for instance, an issue that has cropped up now in the last couple of weeks is that the Dean Ryan version in football will say that competition runs from Christmas onwards, but you have county minor football and hurling on that time of year too, and it's having a huge effect on it. That agenda has to be brought now to Munster to try and see if we could run the two competitions side by side, the two under 17s, because it's not acceptable at this day and age that a young lad maybe doing his junior cert, he's outside playing football competitions for his school. He might have training for the Clare minor hurlers or footballers twice a week, let's say Tuesday and Thursday, playing his school's match Wednesday, club activity going on and trying to provide education. That can't continue. The good player is constantly getting burnt out. He's being pulled in every direction.
I suppose, Neil, are we heading towards the day where the dual players becoming extinct?
It's very hard to see how it can continue that they can. The season is so condensed and packed. It's very hard.
No, but even at development level.
Even at that side, it's just so it's very hard to drive the two on. See when Teddy McCarthy won two All Irelands in 1990, I think was it and you see only a handful of players would have played county at June since then, and I'd say nobody probably in the last, maybe Podge Collins might be the last one who said that just shows the commitment, and it's come down along into the club scene too, and it's going to come down. It's just there's so much on, there's so much happening that players they'll get burnt out. The injuries and everything just can't be done
and that's the elite level. And most young fellas, and we've all been there, Neil, if you're interested in football, you want to play both as long as you can, and as often as you can, but the commitment required, say at development squads level, mitigates against it really.
Well, look, there has to be you have to look at the logistical point of view and make sure that if they are wanting to play both, that they're not expected to train for both every night, that if they're on a fitness program or a gym program, that program will cover both. You have to give him, every young lad, the opportunity. If he wants to play, that he has to. And look, there will probably come a state. No one's going to hold the gun to any young lad's head and say you have to choose one or the other.
But there'll come a time when they have to make a choice. There will come a time when they know themselves. The choice has to be made. So.
And they'll make the choice based on their own kind of interest, whether it's going to be football or hurling.
Of course, of course.
And currently, Neil, what sort of hours would you be putting in?
I'd be afraid to say too much in case my employer would hear me.
A considerable amount of your free time is in it anyway.
There's a considerable amount of time. Now it is manageable because you can run it times on yourself. But there is a considerable workload. But look,
but for people, ordinary people, to know that people are often critical of people in positions, but they don't realise what's involved behind the scenes and the hours people put into it.
I should look at there is probably an element. Maybe that's our side for not communicating good enough what is, or maybe it's just their side that they don't want to listen to what is there. I suppose look at no more than any club role or officership role there's a huge volume of work there to be done, and it's only ever getting ever greater.
That's it.
There's so much say going on between. Even we'll say 10 years ago, the likes of Garda Vetting and Child Welfare at such a high level as what is now. There's just so much more
there is
bureaucracy side of things, and safety nets that have to be looked at and everything
just as regards the Garda Vetting and Safeguard and Neil, have you kind of an oversight of that, or is that left to Joe and Crotty?
To be left for Joe and to communicate back in relation to where there might be lads that have to, and I'd say look at, there's no one, it's not as if there's anyone avoiding it, to just look at, I suppose, day life and work hours and everything, getting around to doing it, I suppose it can just slip away.
Look, we've been through this springtime, getting updated on safeguarding. It does take a bit of time.
It does, 100%, and I think from when they started first, when you were referees administrator and I was on the referees board, that I think was it a night inside with Fergal Gray talking for a few hours. But now it's 3 and 4 sessions to get it done. There's a lot more than what there was before. There's no doubt about it.
And more, as you say, scrutiny as to who has it and who hasn't.
Exactly.
And you shall not cross the line unless you have it done.
Yes, correct. exactly.
But then, what's your say? You mentioned Michael Duffy and his team. Would you have regular meetings with Mike, or is there just a plan put in place? And
there would be a lot of regular meetings. There would be. We'd meet the various stakeholders side of it. Like we'd meet the primary school, we'll say the secondary schools, the primary schools, the two hurling board, the hurling and the football board in Clare on a regular basis, and we'd have joint up meetings with coaching and games. Then there'd be a person sitting on the bodies, and there'd be other various people appointed in from we'll say various groups in the county, like we'll say handball, ladies football, camogie sitting at. I'll say there'd be 2 schools delegates on it. There would be a couple of hurling people involved in, a couple of football people involved. We'll say James O'Connor and Jorkeen is involved, Don Medden's involved. Like there'll be a lot of voluntary hours going in there, just as kind of basically look at when there'd be ideas and stuff to be done like that. They'd be borne out. Like we'll say, like we held a very good there night there back there about 6 weeks ago. A coaching workshop to make sure every club coaching officer was trained to a standard, like and the whole thing is set to a schedule, like like it came from discussing we had a couple of very good lads on it, like, and they kind of bore out ideas and how it would work best, like, and I think we'd over 44 people inside in the night, like, which was, and one thing I couldn't get over was the level of engagement. It was very easy for the tutors to do a course and go through a course when there's feedback and there's talk.
Active
there's nothing more, I suppose, for all the world makes it harder when you stand up at the top of the rope and everyone about is kind of nodding down their heads and look like they're falling asleep and like stitches in there, like. But it just shows the level of positivity in the game, like, is like. And look, I wouldn't say there was anything critical in it, but it was all like, how do we get, like, how was a club coach now? How does he get more lads to do award ones? We'll say, how would you get more up there, like, and like that's
and spread
10 hours of training, which is 2 hours, like, and asking, like, could we get it all done in one whole day of a Saturday, like, because like it's a lot to give up time every night, five nights in a week for 5 weeks in a row, like there's a lot of work in that, like
there's a lot of work in that, Neill, and the club coach or the club chairman trying to find underage coaches, right? And a fellow might, or a woman, girl might put up their hand, and then they're told you have to do this, and this. And these are probably younger people with with younger families, and the time is the essence, really, isn't it? They're trying to make it as
there's still only 7 days in the week, 24 hours in the day.
But they ask, and the requirements, be it guard and vetting, be it safeguard, and be it level 1 and the amount of hours. It's you have to take your hat off to people that actually do it.
You have busy people, definitely, like, and I suppose I suppose it's not what was 15 years ago when it was a parent or two of the team took over the team, like, I think the day is gone, like, there's a coaching side of it now, there's a bit more professionalism into it, not that there wasn't anything wrong with what was there at the time. Clubs did what was best, and like there was still only one competition winner at the end of the day, like, but we'll say there's definitely, it's a bit different now, and like there's kind of, you need to take yourself back a bit, like, and you can't be kind of, I suppose, like we'll say, when you're on the line and your own young lads are involved in that, like, it can be very hard to see out beyond the line, and we'll say see what needs to be done or that, like, and you don't want tensions at home or anything over decisions you might by leaving he or she on or taking he or she off, like, and like then obviously if someone is taken off, then you have the element that, well, you didn't take off your own son or daughter, like, so there is an element to that, like, but look, I think I can see from, especially around the hurling side of it anyway, I'm not sure back to the football now, because I wouldn't be back there as much at matches, with the refereeing law matches, I'd see there's a lot of senior players now involved with every court, every set-up now underage, like there is, like, and I suppose, look, they're bringing a new idea and new concepts and a new side of coaching thought, like, what they've embraced, and they see they're bringing that to the table for younger lads training, like, because like strength and conditioning and gym work, like, is every team, I'd say, from under 14 or 15 in the club now is doing a level of it, like, they're like, so.
I think it's a very active sign of a good club that you get the senior players either currently playing or retired back coaching, because it hasn't always been the case, Neill. 1 or 2 might stay on, but generally when fellas stop playing, they disappear.
They're very well coached, and unfortunately, I suppose in rural parts, I suppose and they've left the area and they're gone. Like, that's, I'd say that's probably one of the biggest things from, I suppose, clubs in the 90s nearly in East Clare. Like, there was a huge level of people that left. I'll say, be it the Mills or Scariff or Kilnane or Feet, you know, like they moved on to other areas. They moved to town areas with work or whatever like that. Like, and like there isn't the same level of employment in rural parts as what there was.
And
like,
even the accessibility to get housing is an issue. It has been an issue, and that's why. That's why Innes, Sixmile Bridge, Crusheen, Tulla would have kind of benefited from fellas from Kilnane moving into Innes maybe. Like,
hugely, like.
Yeah, we still bemoan the fact that Shane O'Donnell is Airog and that John Conlon is Clonlara, right? You know, so you know, I mean,
I see three Kilnane lads got all stars last year.
That's right. We keep playing.
So I think if you had the three of them, I think we might be looking at Kilnane for Ken Hamilton 2024. So like, but that's the thing. Like, that's just
not alone that, but Martin O'Donnell, Shane's father, was club secretary in Airog. He was active. Conlon, massive behind the development plan Clonlara. You know, they weren't just hurlers, they were active.
100%. And it's very hard to replace that then. And someone coming in then will say, like, there's always an element like, look, if someone moves into a parish, they can feel like they're the outsider kind of thing, like, and they can be slow to put their hand up, and I think some clubs can be very, very slow about asking to bring them into as well, like, you know. So I think there's both sides, like, but like. When you're losing calibre of people like that played on Clare teams, or you know, and they move away like in their 30s, like, you know, and you know they're gone, like, but you know then that like they'll probably keep playing for the couple of years, but you know their children then aren't going to come back, which is a big loss, like this, like. So,
and I suppose you had a situation for years. It's probably moving away from it now because they want to be qualified coaches, but usually parents got involved when their children were at their age, and they got involved with teams. Of course, going on from the coaching side of it, Neil, there's a number of people moving around from team to teams, especially at adult level, in clubs all over the country. And some of them have 2 or 3 teams.
Joe Brawley has a very strong view on that.
Yeah, he said on the gravy train, and they're all devoted to the club, and they're wearing the top, and the more training sessions, the more money they're making. There's lads making decent money out around the country, and you'll see them moving from one county, even outside the county. Most clubs, even in Clare, they all have a coach now. A lot of them are outside coaches as well.
Maybe 2 coaches.
And maybe 2 coaches, exactly. So there's a good living to be made out of it from coaches that go into strength and conditioning in particular. All levels of sport, they're all at strength and conditioning now. But
there is a circuit there, and there's definitely a lot of people on it. There is like, and I know. I suppose there's always an element, and one of them is going to say like, they go down the road or whatever, and they're going to get paid to do a job. They got involved with the wrong crowd, all they get is abuse.
That's what I was coming at. That's the thing.
But there is definitely like, look at the end of the day, there's only going to be one winner of every championship. Like there is like, and if there's 15 or 16 or 20 lads getting paid on it, someone's going to be the loser, unfortunately. Like so, but like it's a big strain on clubs' finances. Like you know, you're talking about like big bucks being paid out there, like, and maybe the 2 people, and you've say statisticians and camera work and everything involved. Like there's a big budget there, and
and in fairness, Neil, there's nothing wrong with that, but it does come back to the club volunteers selling the lotto ticket. That's kind of
100%
on their shoulders all the time.
Like most clubs, I suppose now, even are at the stage that they've got the monthly draw, like on top of lottos, development draws, like, and it's all about keeping afloat, like this, and keeping the best what can go forward, like, because like, I suppose there has been, I think, and one thing that I think most clubs in the county can be proud of, there's been huge development work done in each club around the place, like, or if not plans afoot, major redevelopment, like, and like there's credit due, because like most of them clubs into the day are debt free out of it when it's done, like there's fundraisers locally, like, and the drive is on, and there's constantly fundraising done to pay it off, like there's like,
well, like the kids nowadays growing up have fantastic facilities.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? They want for nothing in that area, like. Do you know the coaches you have, like, are they accountable for their performance? I suppose is one way of putting it. Or
I suppose Pat, it's not. I suppose as a county, we've looked at it from a couple of different angles, and like, when you would hear the likes of Kieran McDermott and Donal Maloney speaking and stuff like this, like it's about development. about bringing people through, casting the net wide. Because firstly, I suppose, like, what could be, we'll say, like, there has been a Brandon thing done there, we'll say, and players have been put into their group, we'll say, like, whether it's an A, B or a C, like, but like a C player could progress at a very high rate once he comes to 15 or 16, physically and ability wise, like, it can be like, and who was the strongest lad and were able to push lads aside at 14, lads catch up with him then, like, so I would never say that there is, like, obviously there's a drive to make sure you're competitive, like, and when you can go out and play under 14 3 matches against the likes of a Galway team and be competitive in all 3, or going up playing Offaly's first team or Kilkenny with teams like that, like, I suppose it's just about having that there, right? And you're just pacing yourself along then when it comes along towards minor then, like, I would say that's probably the best way of putting it, like, you know, it's about keeping them all going, keeping them going, and I think what's there is too as well that the lads involved can see there's a progress coming along the line, like there is, like, you know, Brian O'Connell's been there now a couple of years at minor, like, if the likes of Terence decide to move away from 20s, he's done fantastic for the last couple of years, that Brian would be more than well capable of going up there, like Ger O'Connell has been with from Clonare, has been with under 16s, and he can well progress up along, like, you know, so I wouldn't say they'll be accountable, but like at the same time, like, there's a programme in place, there's a plan in place, and you keep working to that plan, like, it's like, and of course, look, it's like everything, there'll be a couple of bumps along the road as well, there will be, but like, of course. So it is like, but
is there any kind of special way then that the various coaches or the various managers of the development squads can let a young fella know, you know, next year, Johnny, you know, you may not be back or you won't be back out? How is that handled under the...
well, look, I would always say that I suppose, look, it is always a delicate subject, like, and you never want it to be a closed shop, because, like, look at, like, the clubs are the best way of knowing, like a lad could be missed at an under 13 championship and you're talking about under 14 development squads the following year, and there has to be an eye there, like, if he does well the following year, that he has potential to get back in, like, he is, like, you know, like, of course, when you have 3 teams, you're talking about 75 players, that's right, that, like, that's a lot of players, and like, factor in a couple of injuries along the way, like, I suppose really the biggest decisions have to be made when you come towards minor, like, we'll say, you know, we keep the 3 teams up along, like, you know, and you could definitely see when it probably comes to 16s, you could probably see some of the lads decide nearly, you know, they probably know themselves they're going to find it very hard to get on to a Celtic Challenge team, like, we'll say, like, but like, look, it's a tough subject, and like, again, lads are called in for trials and they're picked on their merit, like, but again, it's not a task I'd like to have.
No,
so it isn't, like,
you know, that's why I brought it up, Neil, because I think it's handled in the wrong way can affect a young boy or girl, right? Handled in the right way, but just, as you said, there's no doubt about it. Kids themselves know from their peers where they stand with them. They'll always know, right?
They do,
But it's how the message is imparted, I think, is very important.
100%,
definitely.
So,
but and as you say, when you come to minor, that's really the crucial stage, really.
It is, and like, look, I suppose the thing is, like, you don't want to lose any young lads to the game either, like, you know, like, will they go back playing with their club minor team and that, like, you know, like, right, if a young lad doesn't make the Celtic Challenge now or minor squad, like, right, the minor leagues are on the springtime, like, you know, if he proves he's worth, he's going well in that, like, look, it has to be open it up for him, like, always, like, but like, look at clubs need as many players as they can, like, we'll say, like, you know, like, like,
what has impressed me this year, look at the 7 of last year's minor team gone straight into the under 20 team. Now, I know there's a couple of other lads all are more out injured, and there was a few opportunities there, but it's incredible. There are too many counties that many players go straight into the under 20 team. No. So within 12 months. Like.
And like a Clare team, the 20 team that was in a Munster final.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and a good few of them still playing, like there is, like, so, you know, like Ron O'Connor's captain, Neill O'Brien is still there, like, you know.
That's right.
But like, there's, like, I suppose it showed the exceptional players that were on that.
And
team,
I mean,
you know,
Conor Whelan from Whitegate, like, now everyone knows what a great free taker Conor Whelan is around the county. A lot of people didn't know, you know, now he's been exposed that level, he's played with minor and that, you know. So if they keep up that level, like, they'll be kept, obviously. But of course, it's cutthroat and it goes to senior. But I think one of the most standout, I mean, Adam Hogan has proven the system works.
Yeah.
If all the developments that you're involved with hadn't happened, he could still be at home in Hickey.
No, he could. Although I have to say that he was it second year in Tulla. Shane Clone himself the same age.
Yeah.
And, I would have refereed a few games for Tulla.
Yeah.
And Tomas Kelly, Aidan Hart. But Tomas Kelly said Shane Clone, and Adam Hogan, he says, and Shane Clone will be the backbone of this team, this Tulla team.
Yeah.
That was only his second year.
Yeah.
Down to win the Hart team.
Yeah.
But Adam has progressed up It's amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, he's a good example of what happens.
And like in fair, I think it was the size you mentioned, the lads over the team there. That Tulla team that won a Harty Cup. Very little of them would have been household names
that's
that
right.
Hull at the time, but what thing they had was heart and commitment and dedication. You know, it was an unbelievable bond with each other they had. It was incredible, and there was so many that team. Then played with the Clare under 20s last year. Then that ran Cork to in Blown Limerick. I just I suppose for all the world, it's not always about the best player and all, but if you have that that extra 10% in the last 5 minutes, get out there and win that dirty ball.
And that was a feature of the Tulla Harty team.
100% was,
to keep on going.
I
know that the rule relaxed some bit, but it's tough. Like that a player who wants to be playing at under 20, like Hogan last year, couldn't play with Clare. And we thought he was captain once he played senior, and there was now the rule changed once the competition within 7 days, but there's always done the 20 could be on the Wednesday after you play senior championship.
And the thing about that rule is it's only cutting out 1 or 2 players. That's all, they can do that. There's no mention of that rule when lads are training under 20 start of the year on a senior team playing Fitzgibbon as well.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's forgotten about that, and that's when the real pressure is on load. From January onwards, they're there's only going to be a couple of Adam Hogans and the young. I can't remember the young lad from Cork that was in the same scenario last year. Adam Screen, you probably know from Offaly this year, come into that scenario. But you're only stopping a couple of the best players playing the game, and these are lads that could be very easily managed. It's very easy managed between 2 different managements. You've only 1 or 2 players to look after. But when you're with different teams in different counties, in different competitions, who's monitoring that? There's nobody monitoring it. So there isn't so.
I suppose, Neil, that brings it on to they'll have to have a look at the Fitzgibbon and where he stands as regards the National League as well.
I think that. I suppose look at the split season has made a season for inter-county hurling and club hurling. But schools and colleges are still in there.
Caught in the middle. And
it has definitely made that working part of it even harder. Because the early part of the season, because the schools and colleges are still on the same time of year there, but they're squeezed more because county is squeezed more and the club, if there was a way to maybe, I don't know, elongate the season somewhere and fit everything in as you went along. And I know Gerald Burns, I think, had a bit about this recently.
There was something
you take, say, I think, I didn't read the article in full now, but I think it was going back, maybe playing All Irelands in September, but that there would be club activity throughout the year there, but every club would have to have the same competition structure with that 16 teams, and you played 3 group matches that.
The ironic thing is, since the condensed season has started, there's a lot of counties to play in the county finals. They aren't that much earlier than they were when the championship was finished in September. There's often big gaps.
Look at, there's only ever going to be 4 teams in the All Ireland football, so there's a lot of teams out there already.
The only thing I suppose the close season or the condensed season has done is given a certain certainty to club players. They know when the championship is starting in their home county, and they can make plans. Whereas before you were playing the first round in May and then not the next round whenever your county was out.
But I think the one thing you can take from the short term that Gerald Burns is in as president is that he is a touch for what is being on the ground. You can see that in his interviews. I actually at the last county board meeting, Bernard Keane, the Munster delegate, said that he's still secretary of his club.
He is. And
he's no intention of giving it up.
No, and he was pictured above was it Jordan or doing something, tidying up a stand after a game. obviously enough. So just, I mean, hopefully he's like a breath of fresh air. He has hit the ground running, and he has kind of brought a common touch to it. Really.
And Neil, have you your term of office is 5 years? Maximum. So you have to go after that, is it?
Go after that.
Yeah. And does that affect continuity, or is the new fella will come in, or the person, male or female, and they have to pick up the baton?
Sure, I suppose, look, everyone's put their own side on things, like obviously, I suppose, if it was working right and you put good plans in place, you'd like to think that continue on.
Yeah.
But again, sure, look, I suppose everyone brings their own side of things. Like if we kept going down the one rabbit hole, we might all end up below. It might end up a full hole. So
say you're. Actually, I keep going back to kind of where the coaching and games officer sits in regard to Munster. Somebody taking up a position, would there be a kind of a plan there or a template to work on anyway? Or apart from having your own interest in what you're
well, sure, look, I suppose you're governed by rule, will say, and where you are, like, do you know what I mean? Like, and look, I suppose there's no point going in saying you're going to change the whole world, like, because like it means that you have to change the whole county set up with the development squads, and them dates are set in stone. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know,
it's like turning to Queen Elizabeth.
You work with the parameters that can maximise the performance of both codes in the county to all players, and that everyone has the respect. Do you know what I mean? Like that, like you have your development squads are working on one hand, the clubs are working on the other side, your schools are working too, and it's all about harmony, making sure that the disruption is as minimal to everyone, and they can keep playing the games at such a high standard. Like, and at the end of the day, I suppose, look, that's what it comes down to. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, because there's no point having our best young lads below sitting down for 12 months of the year with knee injuries and whatever. Do you know, they can't be overworked, they can't be overtrained. Sadly, it does happen, but again, but look, that's just the way they are, like, you know, the way competitions are, like, so.
And like, I mean, you know, I know that coaches and strength and conditioning people are coming out of college with all the theory. There was a theory one time that if you push them under 16 doing weights, that it wasn't right, that their bones are still development. I presume that's taken into account, the body dynamics of
I'm not qualified enough to say, but I presume that they are looking after it, like, because look, I know they all do fitness tests and stuff at the start of the year, and each player is assessed separately, like, and programs are put in place to each player which is specific, like, so look, that's important, like, because like there's no point a young lad spending money on it, firstly. Secondly, if the player isn't getting the maximise out of it, because it's no good, like, you know, he'll get hurt or he'll get injured or whatever, like, you know. And I know most young lads always want to be I can lift the most, or I can run the fastest, like. But look, when you that's one thing, that's a one-off thing with young lads between themselves. But like, as a person responsible over a team, and you've qualified after doing 3 or 4 years in college or 5 years, you're not going to let that be the case, like, you're not, like, so.
Just go back to a point you made earlier, Neil, about we're kind of talking about retaining players and they go back to their clubs. I think the strength of the GAA is when you see the amount of Irish kids going foreign, no matter what country, and setting up clubs or joining clubs or getting part of the network. You know, I know it's a great leg in when you land in Sydney to join a club, whatever, you know. But I think the spread of games
it's huge now, because you're from, I suppose, like, I'm not sure is there one in China now, but they're more than likely, you know, those Asian games, like, the amount of people have gone out to Dubai and the UAE in the last 2 years. Like, one time it was either London or New York, probably, and that was it in the store, you know. Like, there's games in every continent now, like there is, like, you know. And I suppose, look, it's a great thing for someone when, like, it's a big call to leave, to go off working in a foreign country on a continent, like, packing up your bags and leaving home. But I suppose there's a sense of, family when you're out there then and you're playing and something, like, because even, like, I know I had a cousin that went out and she started playing GA out there. She forgot what the field was in Ireland when she was here, but she found it when she went out. But look, that's the friendship side of it and the circle about it, like, because, like, look, at going to a big city like any of them places, it's daunting enough, like, and to meet new people and all, and it's great to have a social circle and an aspect
and
like
what's
that.
even better is the amount of natives that are joining them.
People who are friends
and love it. They're friends. Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
And the other thing I'd say is, as well, which I thought was nice, young Murphy now from the Mills, that's on the Clare minors.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be the biggest man in the world, but very effective. It just goes to show you don't have to be 6 foot
No.
to be on a county team. You know, there's this perception there. Some managers, okay, like big men and whatever, but you don't have to be big and strong if you're nifty and you're gifted and you're talented and you work hard. You don't have to be the biggest man in the world to get that,
definitely not.
I mean, Joe Dean, son is involved with Cork now, and Joe, of course, is one of the great corner forwards in his day with Cork, and now he's his own young lad coming back and following the same route in Cork, like, so he's a chip off the old block. So
I think he's bigger than Joe.
He's a bit bigger than Joe, alright, like, but
I heard Landers on Dale's podcast saying that the mother's side is size, whereas Joe hadn't.
But like,
he did enough damage at times. Small, was he the big impact he had?
He did. But I was impressed that Curtin Clare minor team, the fitness levels of them was unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. Sure.
I mean,
like you see there last year, it was blowing the bridge there against Cork and the minors.
Yeah.
And Ronan Keane came out with the ball there for the full back line and pushed his way out along and put the ball over from his own half back line. But it was the turn of speed and strength to push it out of the way, get out there and take a shot from 80 yards and put it over the back. Like, you wouldn't see it as a match 10 years ago, let alone like it's under 17 now, like, you know.
So Neill, we're as I said at the beginning, we're at the weekend of the big game, probably the biggest game for Clare in a long time, big game for Limerick too. Tomorrow, Cusack Park will be thronged. Pat, did you get an increase in attendance?
It's gone over 20,000 anyway, so you can't get a ticket for love or money.
Yeah, tickets are hard.
It's the most talked. The whole country is engrossed in this game and what could happen and what might happen, and obviously then there's all anticipation about the selection with TK and Shane O'Donnell listed as subs. Yeah. And Limerick missing a few of their regulars. Darragh O'Donovan's definitely out and Casey suspended. And Sean Finn has been left off with the team that's announced anyway.
Has he been left off? I didn't see the team, Pat.
Okay. I was mentioning Kyle Hayes won't be playing, but of course look at the rumour mills are going through the rounds. I think it just shows the anticipation of this match. I was actually talking to a man the other day from Tipperary, and he said he was going to run a pub up from a pub below in Tipperary if I sorted him out for tickets. That just shows like the interest of Tipperary men coming up to see Clare and Limerick hurling.
Yeah, it's generated huge interest. It has, and there's a lot of people unfortunately disappointed they can't get tickets because of the capacity. But it definitely is a great start to the Munster Championship.
But it's some opener of a competition, like when you can have a full you know, I think everyone knows like the atmosphere is going to be just something unbelievable, like it's like, you know, and like if that's the way you open a competition and show, like, look at, I think we're going to be treated to an epic game, let's say we are, like, because history is showing the two teams every day they've gone out. It's been
toe to toe,
pointed either way. A couple of draws in there. You know, we won below Limerick last year. You know, after losing to Tipperary, and probably everyone said that. Look, we're out of the championship after losing to Tipperary. Like, and how will we go down to the Gaelic grounds? Let alone that, and we nearly got a Munster final below it then afterwards. Like, you know, so.
No, it has whetted the appetite big time, Neil, and as you say, it depends on what team actually takes the field, you know. For both sides.
I think Brian has gone with the team that was in the league final, like whether that's the team that starts or not. We'll take it in the paper that is like. Look at some roar. If you see Shane O'Donnell and Tony Kelly and David McInerney warming up like 3 all-star hurlers, like, you know, like, so look at I suppose look at be all in the day and see like, but it shows the strength and date how Clare has grown in the last.
Say that looking at
2 years,
the first 15 is okay, whatever's there, but the lads up to number 26, including TK, they'll all walk onto anything.
Yeah, they would, of course. Absolutely. And look, there was no players blooded through the league. I seen how well, like we'll say, Conor Lean. Like, it would be very hard on Conor Lean, Keane Gelvin, if they didn't make the team after doing so well in the league. Like,
and Darragh Lohan got a lot of games.
Darragh Lohan in midfield. Keith Smith, unfortunately, then got injured in the semi-final, and you know, like, was going so well, like coming along, like he was, like, you know, like, so.
There's no doubt about it. Lohan has strengthened the panel this year.
Oh, hugely. Like, even there, the first couple of matches there, young Reen from Ined played some great hurling he did, like, and probably maybe a bit unlucky that he was under 20, that he didn't get a bit more game time in it, like, that he was being prioritised that side, like, so. Well, like there is strength in depth. Like even the likes of Shane Meehan to come on. Like you know, he's played a good for Aaron Shanahan. Has always turned up the last couple of years and got a goal, caught a high ball, got a goal or a couple of pints any days. Come on, like so. You know, that shows the. I think like that's the one thing you could take out of the last couple of years. Like you know, disappointing it might have been that we had a couple of near losses, but like the squad has been building, and this league has proven that. Like without so many of the mainstay players, which you would have said a couple of years ago, like without them you could forget about it. Like, but lads have really stepped up to the mark. Like, and
there's no one saying we're a one-man team anymore.
Oh no.
So we have Limerick on Sunday, regardless whether we win or lose. We're hitting to Cork in the following Sunday.
Yeah.
Is that
yeah, there'll be two weeks in a row and then 3 weeks off. 3 weeks off and then 2 in a row after that.
What's the third game?
I think we've Waterford last.
Watford is at home.
Watford is what tip and away. Cork, I suppose, will have the beauty of the week off and seeing how it goes. Like, it's a tough opening set of match. Like, I know it's tough for every team, like, because there's no match going to be easy. Like, but like, I suppose, look at having that, like, because like we know Clare and Limerick, they're going to be an all merciful slog at it, like, and whoever gets over the line is going to be a point or two either way, maybe even a draw, and then face on then from Cork then, like, and Limerick have to go to Cork as well yet this year. They have like they have 2 hard matches on the road. Like, they have like,
and in fairness, last year Cork ran Limerick 2 points below.
That's right, and probably very unlucky the same day, like so they were like so.
But look, it's great to be talking about it, lads. But I mean, and then go back, Neil, to your own role. I mean, that role and the coaching at underage is bringing on the Conor Leans, the Keith Smiths, and all the boys. You know what I mean? In fairness, and bringing it to that level. So we've come near to the end of the programme. We won't get a chance to talk about Champions League part, I'm afraid. But I think the chat with Neil has been
very
huge.
I
mean,
huge.
From our own perspective, Neil, just getting an insight into what the job entails, it sounds like a full-time job on a voluntary basis, in all fairness. You know what I mean? Yeah. And before we go, just some reflections for yourself. I forgot to go into kind of a bit of detail with you about refereeing. You started roughly 2010. You're still active as required.
I'm still part-time active. I've had about 3 years of semi-retirement. There's some very persistent people in the county, like so. But look at it, like I would say, like, you know, the 10 plus years we had, like, in the morning, it's enjoyable, like, you know, like, I know there's going to be the odd bad day, like, and someone's going to tell you what they think you like, but look at the Lions.
And they tell you an open nest.
No. I never asked one of them yet what they thought of me, but like, I would say, like, that there's, like, and you even do an umpire, like, probably have some great friends standing beside the goalpost where goal is, like, you know, you get on well, like, with most of the players, like.
And when you see, you kind of go into that, you understand what sometimes passions run high and people say things through the course of the game, and they don't, you know, but you know they don't really mean it, and you forget about it after the match, like, and that, like, you know.
I think once anyone
and
goes
people
out,
realise nowadays there's no matches without referees and umpires, like, so there is a bit, even though I suppose we'll never reach the level of the rugby, the respect for officials, but tis part and parcel of it all along, like. But
like, you have to look at the speed of the game compared to a game of rugby, like, so, like, it's a huge difference, like, this, like, you know, like, and, you know, like, you'd miss something to blink of an eye in a hurling match, like, you would, like, you know.
And everyone's going to see it.
No, sure, everyone's going to see it, sure, whether they didn't see it, they're going to say they've seen it, like, but we'll say, like, you mean, look at most people know once you have a level of honesty and integrity about it, like, that's it, like, you know, sure, like, it's not a bad old spot to be in, like, in fairness, and, like, you actually maybe sometimes you've witnessed the best seats in the stand watching the match, and you know, you would see, like, if a game is free flowing and there's good hurling in it, there won't be a dirty straw pull in the match, and you have the beauty of being next to that the whole time through it, like you have been, like. That's
true. But Neil, look, thanks very much for that. Really enjoyable chat. Thanks for coming into the studio. As I say, we wait with bated breath for the result tomorrow. Maybe later on in the year, maybe after another while, we might get you back in for a few minutes to discuss the year, how it's been for you. But Neill O'Brien, thanks very much. Pat Hickey, thanks very much. Until the next time, slán.